I'm going to call the meeting to order. Would you please call the roll?
Baronis.
Present.
Bolin.
Present?
Gadding.
Present.
Lopez.
Present.
Verrett.
Present.
Williams.
Present.
Yancey Smith.
Present.
7 ayes, or 7 present. That's a quorum. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. All right, we start with the superintendent's report, and I understand, Dr. Gutierrez, you get the pleasure of delivering good news, right?
She does, and she's so excited.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Good evening, Board, Superintendent Lance, colegas, and community. We have some good news to kick us off this evening. Kankakee Junior High School celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, and they are doing this by having students learn about important Hispanic leaders and figures. They are learning the information in both English and Spanish as they honor the contributions of famous Latinos in this country. Also, Kankakee Junior High School, they just had their club fair. So students created over 40 trifold displays to promote the many clubs and activities in their school. And so it generated a lot of excitement, and students were excited to be able to be a part of these clubs throughout the school year. So thank you very much, Kankakee Junior High School.
Okay, we'll move right into the report from Student Services and Diverse Programs. Dr. Gutierrez? Gonzalez. I'm embarrassed.
It's okay.
I'll get there. Thank you.
Also, my colleague, Dr. Brecky, will be joining us. She is the Director of Multilingual Education, so she will be co-piloting this session with me. So we're very excited to have her join us up here. So before we dive into this evening's report, I do want to start off with a note of gratitude for every teacher, staff member, and school administrator who serve our multilingual students and families through our multilingual programs. I think I see some of them in the audience right now. If you're in the audience, would you mind standing up? I see a lot of my Twain friends. Ms. Martinez. And I'm going to share a little bit more later about my conversations. We are focusing on our multilingual education program, but of course we are grateful for all of our teachers and staff. But I want to thank this group of individuals for sharing their insights and hopes and ideas for the path forward. I also want to thank our multilingual team. So we have Dr. Brecky, who has just joined our team, Miss Edith Petty. Edie, are you in the audience? There she is. So can you take a stand too, please, Edie? And Alicia Santoyo for their hard work and dedication. We are a very small but mighty team, and I thank you for all that you do. So Hispanic Heritage Month is here, one of my favorite times of year. This is the month where we honor Latino excellence. So a couple of things that I want to share with you. Just a reminder, October 10th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. is our annual Hispanic Heritage Celebration. So we are excited. This is where we will be celebrating the richness, the diversity of Latino culture. And we also want to continue to build Latino excellence in our district. So another reminder that we have our bilingual parent advisory council organizational meeting this week, September 25th, from 6 to 7 at Steuben Elementary. We encourage all of our parents of multilingual learners to join us for the kickoff event to these quarterly meetings. We're going to get now into a series of presentations. I like to think of them kind of like a State of the Union. And so our focus tonight is the state of our multilingual education program. We're going to share some of what we've learned so far. Dr. Brecky and I are both new to the district. We're going to review student outcomes, and then we're going to talk about some next steps. At our last board meeting, I talked about the Student Services and Diverse Programs team, and I want to ground us again here. What is our purpose? Why do we even exist as a team? And last time, I talked a little bit about what the Student Services and Diverse Program team had been up to with respect to getting organized in order to better serve schools. And I'm not going to read this to you this time, but you can see it projected up here. And I believe that the guiding question for all of us in this room and in our buildings is, given our student outcomes, which we're going to look at in a moment, how are we strategically organizing our team to impact student learning? And so I hope that as we progress through this presentation and future presentations, that you see these themes as a common thread throughout the information that we share with you. So who is on the multilingual education team? As the assistant superintendent, I am a member of all the departments that I have the privilege of supervising. On the multilingual education team, we have our director of multilingual education, we have our coordinator of multilingual education, and we have Ms. Alicia Santoyo, who couldn't join us this evening, and we're still working on getting her picture, who is our secretary of our multilingual education program. So as I said, this is a small but very mighty team. So believe it or not, I have been here officially a little over 2 months. In a lot of ways, I'm still immersed in the entry phase of the work. There's not a day that goes by where I'm not still learning something new about all 4 of my departments. My approach when I entered into Kankakee was to take a listen and learn so that I can effectively lead approach. So I want to give you here an overview of some of the activity that I have engaged in throughout my 2.5-ish months here. You can see some of the groups that I have been engaging with. I started off with our school leaders. I started off with our district office leaders. I started off with spending a lot of time with Ms. Petty and just learning about the multilingual education department. I also engaged in data review to better understand what academic performance and English language proficiency looks like for our multilingual learners. I looked at program models, which I'm still learning a lot about, have done some classroom vision visits. Dr. Brecky and I have done some problem-solving sessions for things that we need immediate attention. And a couple of weeks ago, I started the Lunch and Learn sessions, where I go out and just plop myself down in the teacher's lounge. And my focus group for this first round were our multilingual program teachers, and so I see a lot of my friends sitting here in the audience, and it was just a very informal way for me to learn about their experiences in the multilingual program. Something that I want to point out for all of us, when you're gathering this information, you can group it in 2 categories. So there is the quantitative and the qualitative. So when we think about the quantitative, think about numbers. Think about the measurable data. So this is some of our student outcomes, which we're going to look at in a little bit. So I want to kind of take you through some of what I have seen, some of the things that I have learned. We want to share that with you. The quantitative piece is very important because it helps us develop plans that we can measure over time to see if we're being effective. I was sitting next to a principal today who said that the student data is the true tell of how well we're doing. So that's the quantitative piece. The qualitative piece is those conversations that we have with each other. So they're exploratory, they're descriptive, they focus on personal information, personal experiences. And this helps us understand themes, it helps us understand those personal experiences, and it allows people to offer up their opinions. And so as I have been listening and learning, both of these are important because they paint the full picture that blends that personal experience It shares their perception with us, but it also gives us the reality of what our student performance outcomes are, and we need to pay attention to both. One last thing that I want to share before I transition into the next slide. These are some of the themes that I've learned along the way, either by speaking to people or looking at the numbers, looking at the data. So our strength, hands down, and I'm not just saying this because of the people that are in the room, I say this with sincerity, our greatest strength is in our people. Our teachers, our staff, our students, our families, our administrators. There is a sincere and shared outlook amongst most of the people that I've had the opportunity to speak to, that we should and we can do better for our multilingual learners. There's also an eagerness to collaborate and share ideas on the best path forward. So that is definitely our strengths. Our area of opportunities, it's our systems and our strategy. So there's a lot of variation across our multilingual programs and practices. And this often results in an uneven experience and outcomes for students and teachers. The good thing is that we can leverage our strengths to build those systems and that strategy to move forward. So those are just some of the things that I have learned as I have been leading and as I get ready to start launching into more concrete leadership moves, which we're going to talk about shortly. Before we go into the reality or the current state of our student performance outcomes, I want to lay out a few rules of engagement. So this will not be the first report from the Student Services and Diverse Programs team. So I want to lay a baseline in how we look and think about this data. So I want to just emphasize that this is not a calling out, it's a calling in. And there's a big difference. And so as we look through this information, let's commit to being forward thinking. Let's commit to focusing on systems, and let's focus on ourselves and how we directly or indirectly play into those systems for improvement that we need in order to move forward. So with that, I'm going to pass the baton over to my co-pilot, Dr. Brecky, to walk us through our student learning outcomes for the multilingual program.
Good evening, everyone. Buenas tardes a todos. So let's start with our multilingual student demographics. Who are our students? First of all, let me talk to you a little bit about how we identify English learners in our schools. So the first thing that we do is we administer to all families who register for the first time in our schools what we call the home language survey. That home language survey asks two questions. The first is, does the child speak a language other than English? And the second question is there a language other than English spoken at home? If the answer is yes to either one of those questions, then the student gets screened with what we call the WIDA screener. And then based on the student's score, we make a recommendation for placement either in a bilingual program or in the general education program. So this graph here represents the trends of our multilingual learners in Kankakee schools over the last 7 or so years. The population of our ELs has grown about 2% annually. If this trend continues this year, I expect that we will be serving just over 1,100 multilingual learners in our school districts.
One quick point here. When you hear us reference multilingual student and English learner, the terms are used interchangeably. And so it is a student, as Dr. Brecky just described, the profile. And so sometimes people will say English learner and they think like, oops, did I mess up the term? That is completely fine. Multilingual English learner, the profile is the same. Multilingual seems to be the most updated term that we're using in the profession, but it means the same thing.
So annually, we administer the access assessment to all of our English learners. This is an assessment that helps us measure English language proficiency. our students from kindergarten through 12th grade are assessed in the four language domains: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. These scores generate we call a scale score. Think of the scale score as kind of a cumulative score. This score grows over time, we hope, based on the students' acquisition of English language and their understanding and ability to listen, speak, read, and write as they progress through school. They also receive what we call a proficiency score, and that proficiency score is from a 1.0 to a 6.0. And that proficiency score tells us how that student is performing in the moment that they're taking the assessment. And that's categorized from, as you can see the little staircase there, from entering to reaching. Entering being very emergent, students who are learning from like graphics and pictures, to students in reaching category that are already competing with their English language peers at grade level, with the English language at grade level. So I wanted to dig in a little bit to see how our students were performing on this access assessment. And so the trends over the last 7 years in these four domains show us that the majority of our students are in this developing range. As you can see, it's the like the medium greenish up there. So that tells us most of our kids would probably be like in that 3.0 to 3.9 range. The MLs who are in the bridging or the reaching, the darker greens, are students that are already progressing and able to compete using the appropriate grade level academic vocabulary in their classes. So when I first came on to Kankakee, now about 7 weeks ago, the data that was most current in the Illinois Resource Center was this data from the 24-25 school year. In that year, we had 810 students in the program that sat for the access exam. Of those 810, 238 students are what we call long-term ELs. The term is now progressing, and we're calling them seasoned English learners. So these are students with more experience in the bilingual programs. Of the students that sat for the assessment in this year, 17 of them reached a 4.8 composite score on the access assessment, meaning that they were ready to exit bilingual services. So I did a little bit digging into this year. You can go to the next slide. Into this year, because the data is not fresh. Go ahead.
I just want to strike one more point here. When we look at the state exit rate for ELs, it's just slightly better. And so we're not doing well as a state. But as I've heard my colleague Dr. Brecky say in the past, we're Kankakee.
We can do this in Kankakee.
So we can do this in Kankakee and outperform what this state is currently doing. So let's be different, let's be unique.
We have a lot of opportunity here, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. So these are my predictions based on what I have in front of me this year. So we have 962 students that sat for the access exam. Almost 3% of them earned a 4.8, demonstrating English language proficiency at grade level. So we still have some work to do with that, like just under 98%. However, almost 100 of these kids are in that 4.0 to 4.7 range, which I think gives us great opportunity to really accelerate their language development so that they can be students that earn that 4.8 in this coming school year. So those are my predictions. And so we will definitely have to work on this bright spot to make sure that we can potentially advance these children and accelerate their language acquisition. So I wanted to also draw a distinction between academic proficiency and language proficiency. So I'm going to go over some academic proficiency data that we have in our district. Our students in 3rd through 8th grade sit for what we call the Illinois Assessment of Readiness. They are assessed in English language arts and in mathematics each year. So this is all of the kids in Kankakee from 3rd through 8th grade on this graph. So you can see how the students performed, from students that did not meet proficiency to the students that met and exceeded proficiency. On the next slide, I wanted to compare how our English learners were doing in core subjects, that is in English language arts and in mathematics. While I uncovered a small gap here, I didn't think that it was anything significant. We have some work to do to address the core instruction, and this is the work that our friends in teaching and learning are currently working on really hard to improve student outcomes. The work of the multilingual team will be to support teachers with English language development so that our English learners can access that core curriculum at grade level. So in summary, in this IAR performance overview, the data shows us that English learners are underperforming at all of the grades tested. However, the overall IAR performance is low across the board. A large proportion of students are not meeting grade level expectations regardless of the demographics, so there's opportunity here for us to really dig in and do some great work. I then wanted to take a look at the SAT and the ACT. As you know, so the state of Illinois used to give the ACT. So a few years ago, they broke off and started administering the ACT, and last year was the first year that the ACT returned. This is an assessment that is given to all juniors in the high school level. So this is all students on this screen, in English to the left and in math to the right. So what this shows us is that there's a high percentage of juniors who partially meet or are approaching proficiency on the ACT. Last school year, just over 62% of the kids were at partially meets, while just over 7% were at the meets or exceeds combined, demonstrating that they'd reached or mastered college readiness standards. In mathematics, 88% of the students were at partially meets, and just about 3% met or exceeded college readiness standards. This next slide tells us about the English learners. The vast majority of our English learners are partially meeting standards. In math, the trend was pretty concerning to me. In 2024, just under 99% of these English learners partially met standards, with only 1.5% of them approaching the standards. So no student met or exceeded. The data suggests to me that English learners are not accessing the higher levels of performance, indicating language barriers and instructional gaps in scaffolding content. So on the next slide, where I kind of give a little overview, synthesis on the ACT and SAT performance, about how our English learners are doing in comparison to all students. When I compare multilingual learners to their peers, the data shows that Gen Ed students are also in need of strong standards-based instruction, just like what we found in the elementary schools. So this is an issue, as I said, that our good buddies in teaching and learning are really working to address. And so our job on the multilingual team is going to collectively partner with them to improve interventions and language development scaffolding strategies so that our multilingual learners and their peers can access content and demonstrate academic success.
Just as one final point of refinement, what I often say to our teams is a diverse programs team, as the student services team, all roads lead to the core, to the instructional core. And so the work of the student services and diverse programs team, and as Dr. Brecky just described, is about paving that road, or in some cases building that road, so that students have a pathway to the promised land, which is high quality grade level instruction. So that's just just a visual or an image. So now what? So we took a look at the data. So the current reality, as Dr. Lance would say. So what are our next steps? And we want to frame this around education and engagement. Do we have any golfers in the room by any chance? No golfers? Okay, I'm not a golfer either, but I know a little something. So when we think about our next steps, let's talk about the short game and the long game, because right now we are straddling both. So when we talk about the short game, both are important. So the short game involves managing present needs. The other one works toward future high-impact goals. So the key here is for our short game to always have some kind of alignment to the long game. And so this is what that currently looks like right now for our multilingual program. So framing this around education and engagement. So thinking about the short game, so presently situating this for this current school year. The short game, when we're looking at immediate actions, present moment tasks, present challenges, short-term goals, near-term achievements, adapting to circumstances. And in many cases, it's akin to a stopgap solution. So where do we need to really educate ourselves as a district? We need to understand program models and the corresponding staffing models. So what we've indicated here is some of what we've learned throughout our short time here. So we're looking at, and this is what you find in the field as well, of multilingual education. So we're looking at dual education model. We're looking at TBE, which is the transitional bilingual education. And we're also looking at English immersion. So as I have been visiting schools, visiting classrooms, chatting with staff, we seem to see variations of this across our schools. And you're going to see that for each model, it has a different approach. So for the dual language model, the language of instruction, it's dual. It's Spanish and English. The goal, it's biliteracy, and it's academic proficiency. I want to emphasize the point that Dr. Brecky made. Our English learners, we look at their achievement on two strands. So their academic proficiency, just like the rest of their peers, that's your tier 1 grade level instruction. But there's also the English language development proficiency. The instructional approach, it's instruction in 2 languages across all of the content areas. When we're talking about TBE, the transitional bilingual education, the language of instruction is a native language to bridge and transition to English. The goal in the TBE model is English proficiency and academic proficiency, right? So your reading, your math, your science, your social studies. The instructional approach is instruction in the native language to gradually shift toward English instruction, and also very intentional English as a second language instruction, ESL. English immersion, the language of instruction is English. The goal is English proficiency and academic proficiency. The instructional approach tends to be the sheltered instruction observation protocol, which means it's instruction in English that's scaffolded in all content areas. Oftentimes, the SIOP approach lends itself to situations where we might not have the certified staff to correspond with the needs of students. We also need to keep educating ourselves as a district. So sticking with the short game here, the near future, or the immediate future, we need to continue to understand our student, teacher, school administrator, parent needs and perspectives of their experience with the multilingual program. So when I started off during my transition, I had a very zoom out lens, very global view. We're in a place now where we can start zooming in and looking more at locally what's happening. And this is where the multilingual team is going to start stepping up their efforts and start having more focused school and classroom visits to see what we can learn there. More focused collaboration with school leaders and our multilingual teachers and staff. There are Twain teachers here who I got to chat with last week, and they have ideas. I've met with teachers at Steuben, and they have ideas. I am meeting with high school ESL teachers later this week. They have ideas. I have met with Kennedy teachers, and so they are ready to rock. They are ready to come to the table with us and collaborate on how to move forward here, as are many of our school administrators. And then there's also the parent piece. If we go back to this, understanding program and staffing models, that's not just for us here, but do our parents and community understand the various program models, the goals, and the implications that it has for their child's education. So we want focused collaboration with our Bilingual Parent Advisory Council because that's another opportunity to educate our community. So we want to rally. Still sticking with the short game for this year, professional development and communities of practice. At our last board meeting, I talked about some of the ways that the Student Services and Diverse Programs team was going to support our staff. And I talked about universal professional development, so this is professional development for all. I talked about targeted professional development, where we're looking at specific groups, kind of like a cohort, where they engage in a learning series. And so you're going to see a little bit of that here. So we are definitely focusing on our school leaders, who, by the way, they've had 2 rounds already of Leadership for Multilingual Education, and I got to say, they're engaged. It's been a pleasure to deliver these sessions to our school leaders. They are engaged, they are asking questions, they are paying attention, they are thinking about how to take this back to their buildings. We are also looking at the introduction to the English Development Framework. Our target audience here are all teachers of multilingual students. We are learning that we need to level set. We need to set a common language and common practices, and we can do that through some universal professional development opportunities. We're also going to look at SIOP, our Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol, and we want to focus on our high school, our 7th through 12th grade teachers, because these are settings where we don't necessarily have dual language or TBE. So it lends itself more to be more of an immersion experience, and so we need to make sure that we're providing them with those practices so that students in their classrooms have the supports that they need to access the instructional core. We also have Teaching for Biliteracy, and we're going to focus on our K through 6 bilingual and dual language teachers. So you can see here we have a tiered plan, universal for all, and then we have targeted strand for our school leaders, our targeted strand for our high school teachers who are in a more of an immersion setting, and a targeted strand for our bilingual and dual language teachers. We also have professional development for our parents, and we really want to focus on understanding the Access Student Report. So how are their children doing in their English language proficiency development? It's important for parents to understand what this means. We also want to make sure that our parents understand their child's program model. What does dual language mean? What does TBE mean? What does it look like at the high school level? So this is our short game for this year. The long game. When we're talking about the long game, we're talking about long-term vision. We're talking about improved outcomes through consistent, coherent, sustained strategic effort over time. The long game is very methodical, but it generates a movement. It's performing the hard things today that make tomorrow more sustainable and impactful for our students and staff. It is a difficult balance to strike when we're focusing on the short game, the now, what's constantly top of mind, but we're not going to get out of the current reality until we start shifting at looking at the long game and being more strategic in how we work. So this is our desired future state. The research shows that it takes about 3 years to start seeing an impact, and so this is what we hope to see in the future. And I will not read this, but strengthening a lot of what we just reviewed. I want to close out with one final sentiment. When I was meeting with teachers, a teacher shared an anecdote with me very long time ago. She's been here in the district for a long time, and she made a comment about feeling that multilingual students were on the back burner. The teacher shared that the response that she received was, "You guys are not even on the stove." And so our administration wants to assure everyone that that's right, you're not on the stove. It's even better, you're at the banquet table. And so let's get ready to cook. And that concludes our presentation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Brecky and Dr. Gonzalez. Are there questions from the board?
I do have just a couple. First, I want to thank you. The IAR testing, is that done in their native language? And if not, can they have it translated, or do they have to take it in the English language?
It's an English assessment. It's an English
Okay.
assessment, yeah.
Okay. And then my second question is, seeing the high number of the seasoned students, I guess sometimes raises a concern for me on what processes do we have in place to assure that our students, it is a language barrier and not, a learning barrier. So, assuring that our students are receiving the services they need and assuring it's not because of language, I guess, is my concern.
Right, whether it's a language issue or a learning issue, I understand.
Correct.
This is where we would work really closely with our partners in the special education department to make sure that we're identifying students that are, if it's a language issue, that we say this is a language issue and we need more time to develop the English language, then we need to put them in special services. There is an overrepresentation across the state of ELs in special education, and we want to make sure that we're not doing that here in Kankakee. And I think our teachers, with us strengthening the model that we currently have and really having a coherent model across all of our schools, I think will also support students in being able to accelerate academically as they are acquiring the English language, so that we then rule out the learning problem.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense?
It does, yes, thank you.
Any other board member have any questions? I have one area, the access evaluation or assessment that you've talked about. I have to confess, 7 years on the board, it's the first time I've heard about access evaluation. Is that an annual evaluation, or is that done intermittently through the year?
It's done every year. It's in the winter. It's an annual assessment that our English learners take from kindergarten through 12th grade.
So it's every class that does it. Okay. I really appreciate the information. It's a huge area that we have to face up to and deal with, and part of our overarching goals also. So
Well, I said it before and I'll say it again, we can in Kankakee.
we
So
can.
we
Who
can.
It's not who can, we can.
We can.
Yeah.
Sí se puede.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Henderson, I think, Dr. Morgan Harris, never mind.
Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Lance. I bring you greetings on behalf of People's Services. This evening, we'll speak briefly about the PD for classified staff, our recruitment efforts, and our retention efforts. So first, we developed a thought exchange to assess the needs of our classified staff in regards to their professional development and opportunities that they would like to grow and learn more about. And so this is a snapshot of the data at that time when it was, when I submitted this, the presentation, we submitted the presentation. It has since been updated as it is always gathering and collecting data. And so at this point, I believe we have 83 participants at this time, and it's still collecting data. It will close on Thursday, the 25th. Here's a snapshot of some of the respondents. We see that a lot of our clerical staff, as well as a lot of our paraprofessionals, are interested in our Skyward training and cumulative training. We also see that a lot of our classified staff would like training in their specific field, like food safety and transportation needs. And here is a more in-depth or correlated assessment of what our staff is looking at. This was collected today. So as you see here, for example, for clericals, you see that they would like more training in regards to job-specific skills. You see for food services, they would like more training in job-specific skills and cumulative. And then in regards to our other paraprofessionals, they would like training in cumulative as well as safety and crisis response. So this is just some of the data that was collected in regards to some of their responses in the needs assessment. So as we move forward into our recruitment efforts, well, let me back up real quick before I go there. I am working with our directors in regards to providing the training to make sure that all needs are met. And so I am working with all of our directors to ensure that our classified staff receive the trainings that they need that are specific to their professional development. And so that goes into our recruitment slide. In regards to recruitment, we are actively engaging in recruitment efforts to fill our vacancies. We are using our various different job boards that we use, like LinkedIn, IESA Job Bank, Top School Jobs, and K-12 Job Spot. And so we are actively recruiting for those positions. Retention efforts. In regards to our retention efforts, so we've hired, we provided new teacher orientation, we provided mentors, and now what's next? How do we retain high-quality talent in the district? And so as a people services department, we have an expectation to work and to create an optimal workplace for all the educators to thrive. So to provide a comprehensive approach to our retention efforts. And this includes several different approaches, but they're hinged in seeing what our teachers need and making sure that we meet those needs. And so you will see intentional classroom visits, as Dr. Brecky and Dr. Gonzalez spoke to in regards to our classroom visits. Our team is actively in classrooms, seeing and meeting with our teachers and seeing what their needs are. We also do instructional rounds, and we started that this past week, and we are seeing what our teachers need. And then on top of that, we are providing mentors for all of our new teachers as well, to make sure that they have the opportunity to feel supported, not just instructionally, but professionally as well. So we're providing those supports in regards to our retention efforts. Last but not least, our vacancies. So right now at this time, we are hiring for one fourth grade CCA teacher, a chemistry, physics, Spanish teacher for the high school, and our senior Army instructor for our JROTC. Are there any questions?
Any questions?
I thought the ROTC vacancy was filled.
So that was our Army instructor. So there are two positions
Okay.
for our JROTC, and that's the senior Army instructor and the Army instructor. So it's two positions.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Morgan Harris.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, moving ahead to the principal's report, Dr. Sims.
Good evening, Board, Dr. Lance, community, guests. I am Dr. Vernita Sims. I'm the principal here at the illustrious Mark Twain. Before we get started, I would like to take an opportunity for all of my Mark Twain staff to please stand and give them a round of applause. Keep standing. So this dynamic group of, stand up. This dynamic group of individuals that I have, before you, I would not have traded them for the world. When I say they go above and beyond the call of duty, they put up with my antics, my ask, they push, I push harder, but yet they still follow through. So thank you all so much. You may be seated. For the board, we do have a small token of appreciation, just to say thank you for the support. If you'd like to open it. I'd like to show off what we give. So we decided to gift you all with some lunch bags that's been personalized. And if you open up the inside of it, you also have some containers to put your lunch in. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's a good gift.
There are no bad news.
So here at Mark Twain, our theme for the SY 25-26 school year is Every Student Thrives. So regardless of where they come from, the background, the socioeconomics, the rigor, the lack of rigor, the resources, every student here at Mark Twain thrives. So just a little bit about our demographics. As of last year, we had 274 students. This year, we're a little under 200. Our student attendance from last year was 91%. And our English language learners, as you heard the presentation from Dr. Brecky and Dr. Gonzalez, right now serves as 28%, and our chronic truancy serves at 42%. So what you have here is the information based on based on Illinois School Report Card. And so I just kind of want to talk about some highlights and some next steps. So as of now, our current second graders, when they were in first grade last year, we had a lot of disruption in that particular grade band. We had a student who, a teacher who went on maternity leave in November, was expected to return, however, she decided not to. So that left our first graders without a teacher, a permanent teacher, I should say, for 3 quarters. We did solidify a full-time instructor, but that was during 4th quarter. So regrettably, we had a high or wide achievement gap. However, I can say that our current first graders now have a first grade teacher, as well as our first graders from last year who are now our current second graders. I am confident with the teacher that they currently have and the structures that we currently have in place, we will begin to close that achievement gap from the loss that they experienced last year. The other highlight that I would like to talk about is just some of the academic things that we saw from last year, this year. So at the end of the year, we were able to double the number of students who were meeting proficiency in reading and math according to the STAR, as well as our third graders who took the IAR. So our IAR is English Ready Assessment that assesses proficiency. And so our third grade team, we have only one third grade class, so it's really, I don't want to say easier, but easier, so to speak, that we can put a lot of more resources and support behind that third grade teacher. And so that's one of the things that I am going to do this school year, is spend a little bit more time in that third grade class, because our third graders really determine the designation of our IAR, so to speak. So it's important for me to make sure that I'm supporting that teacher that's in third grade, not negating the other supports that our other teachers need, but just to make sure that I put a little bit more focus on our current third graders so that we can move our designation status. The other thing that we're doing in our building is throughout, we're having an instructional shift, and so a lot of more coaching will take place, and I do believe that the increase that we saw in our data was a result of me being in classrooms and providing that immediate feedback, having those coaching conversations with teachers, whether it was in person or via email, and then going back to those classrooms to see what level of support that they needed from me. So this school year, I'm going to do more coaching conversations with our teachers to make sure that I'm meeting their needs so that they can meet the students' needs. So that takes us to our 3 priorities. So we have 3 key priorities that we're going to focus this year. The first being teacher clarity, the second being to improve our Tier 1 instruction, and then the third will be to improve the teacher and administrators' trust to support the collaborative conversations. So we talk about the why. With teacher clarity, with the why, we know that embedding reading and writing across all content areas will definitely increase the equity for every student. And then we talk about the how. So the how is to make sure that we're aligning our learning objectives and our standards to state standards, and making sure that I am continually to provide that ongoing feedback to teachers. To improve that Tier 1 instruction with math, in math with integrated social-emotional supports. So we have one of the best social-emotional learning coaches in our building, in the district, and that's Ms. Hansen. And so what I'm saying is, I'm not saying just words that's on the paper, but she is truly one of the best in the district. So aligning those social-emotional supports along with the instruction, we will definitely look to see the improvement in our math scores as well. And then that third part, to improve the teacher and administrator trust, to support collaborative, effective school culture. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, but to make sure that I am providing a safe space for teachers to be able to trust leaders, to trust me as a leader. And so once we, overcome some of those concerns, then again, we will definitely see an improvement in our instructional practices. So that brings us to our 2 goals that we will focus on. So we have a goal, our first goal, which is in math, and our second goal, which is in reading. Of course, I'm not going to read this to you, but we are looking to see an increase according to our STAR data and according to our AR data over the term. And then how that will be done is just pretty much, again, going to those classrooms, providing that necessary coaching support, improving our Tier 1 instructions, allowing teachers to give feedback to students in a real-time manner, and then making those adjustments as we see needed. Now that takes us to our 5 essential data. So our 5 essentials data is a survey that comes out, both our parents and our students don't take the 5 essentials because we're K-3 building, and so the student survey starts at 4th grade. So right now our results are based on teachers and parents. And so even though there's 5 areas of focus on the entire survey, we're gonna hone in on 3. And so what we did this summer was I met with my SLT team and invited some other teachers who were not on the team to look at our data and take a deeper dive in our data to talk about ways that we can improve our data and what our 3 focus areas should be and what we can do as a collaborative community to improve those areas. So there were 3 areas that we agreed upon, and that first area was effective leadership. The second area is collaborative teachers, and 3 was involved families. So I kind of talked about the effective leadership, what I'm going to do on my end to improve that data, and then moving to the collaborative teachers, making sure that teachers are heard, that they have a voice, and allowing them those opportunities to make sure that they're able to give me feedback because they're the ones in the classroom in front of the students. And then that last piece, having more involved families. We didn't do a very good job this year on getting our families back into the building this year outside of our report card pickup. So this year we're planning a few more activities. So we have our grandparents' day that we just celebrated. We're also having a family reading and math night. But beyond that, I would like to have what's called invite your grandparents to class day. And so that's something that's in the works that's going to come down the pipeline. And also we would like to have volunteers or the parents to come in to volunteer to work with small groups, just so that they can able to see what's going on in the classrooms. Not necessarily their child's classroom, but just what's happening in the classroom. I would like to welcome Mr. Foreman, if you can please stand. This is Mr. Scott Foreman. He is our new AP that he is split between Twain and Steuben. So welcome, Mr. Foreman. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Foreman.
And so these are just a few things that we have been doing this earlier part of the school year. Our second graders have been attending swimming. All of our second graders go, even our instructional class goes swimming, and it's a wonderful time. So this is just a few things that that's happening here at Twain. Nope. Nope, my video don't want to play. Keith, I'm stuck. Okay, welcome to the world of technology. Well, we had a little video as the district for the school year where we talk about hope, and hope starts here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rachel, do we have any public comments? We don't have any public comments. I'm going to take a matter of personal privilege for just a second. What we heard from Dr. Gonzalez and Dr. Brecky is really important stuff. It's important in part to the board because we have an overarching goal that we have directed to Dr. Lance and her cabinet, which is to assure that we are developing students who meet the standards given to us by the state, and going forward that we have students who, when they graduate and leave Kankakee School District, they are competent, functioning adults. In order to do that, and this is arising because somebody sent me a post on a Facebook page. I don't know what Facebook page it was. They just sent me the post that said I should ponder the fact that we have 4 assistant superintendents and a deficit budget. Well, I want to assure you that the 7 of us did more than ponder. We've given that a great deal of thought. And what we learned from before Dr. Lance got here was we only had 1 assistant superintendent. And you see our scores, and we acknowledge we see our scores. That didn't work. Last year, Dr. Gilbert was assigned what was a Herculean task of having special ed, English learners, health department, curriculum, instruction, and professional development. Now, she's really good. She's really good. But there is no human alive that could face what we're asking her to do, and what through Dr. Lance, which is to make our students be able and have the opportunity to perform on the assessments and to have the teachers be able to get them there. So Yes, we added Dr. Gonzalez, and I think you see why. Because now we're talking about Dr. Gilbert. We're saying to you, Dr. Gilbert, please focus on professional development. Please focus on assessments. Please focus on accountability. Please focus on support and coaching, because that's the only way we're going to get to reach our goal. And when we talked about this, we were all somewhat skeptical, because here we are adding another bureaucratic administrator, right? Well, let me back up and say one thing. Everybody here pays real estate taxes, and none of us like it. Just like all of you. We don't want to pay more real estate taxes. So we look at what's the cost of this going to be. And Dr. Lance came back to us, and I believe initially she said, well, the cost savings, because of the way I'm reorganizing, would be for a little under $500,000.
That's correct.
The cost savings now is $899,000 because of her reorganization. It's easy to justify, in my eyes, having the two people with the talents of Dr. Gilbert and Dr. Gonzalez providing leadership in our district, when that's the proposal that came back. So what I'm asked to ponder, I guess my pondering is, why would we not do what's best for our students to give them the leadership and most important, to give the teachers the development, the education, the support, the coaching, the feedback, and the ongoing assessments and accountability, so you know what's working. Everybody here wants it to work. Now we're in a position where we can find out what's working. So ponder I did, and the result is I think we've made a very wise decision. Leads me to a second point. We passed a deficit budget, and we all know we passed a deficit budget. And we all also know by the end of the year it will not be a deficit budget, because we will make the cuts or the enhancements or whatever we have to do, and we have a list of things we're already looking at to make sure that it's a balanced budget and hopefully a positive budget at the end of the year. Because going forward, we have no choice but to closely examine the finances of this district to assure that we remain solvent and out of state control. So going forward, that means a lot of things have to be talked about. There will be cuts in staff, perhaps. Hopefully no cuts in the classroom. There will be consolidations of buildings, probably. There may be even a closing of one building. I don't know which one. We're not even close to that decision. But there are going to be lots of tough decisions that we have to make. But we're not going to make those alone, because I understand how empowering and cathartic posting on Facebook is. I've never done it, but here it is. And it must be, because there are lots of posts on it. But that's not going to solve this district's problem. We need the help from those who post. We need the parents. We need the community. We need the staff. We need all of you to participate in the discussion of what's going to work to balance this budget by the end of this year, and to balance the budget going forward in the years to come. So when we say there's going to be a meeting, we ask you to participate in that meeting. When we say there's going to be a thought exchange, we ask you to participate in that thought exchange. We need your input. What would hurt you and your students the least? Because at the end of the day, no matter what we cut, we are still going to achieve the goal of having students that meet the assessment standards of the state and are competent, functioning adults when they graduate from this school, and are proud to be part of this school district. So, to those who asked me to ponder, personally, I have, but more importantly, all 7 of us have done that pondering, And we're going to proceed ahead towards our goal with the understanding that fiscally we have to look at some tough choices. Thank you for allowing me to rant, and we'll move on. There are no public comments. Is there a consent agenda? Is there anything that anybody wants off the consent agenda? Hearing none.
Hold on. The way it's set, my laptop just died, but the way it's set up, the consent agenda and the action items are all in one line.
There's no action. Actually, there are no action items tonight.
No,
It's all
well, I just
consent
said
agenda.
action, so I'm.
It always says that.
Huh?
Consent, it always says that, consent agenda action items.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
If you want to vote on any individual item, you can do that when the roll call comes to you.
okay, because that's what I'm
You understand, I mean, you understand what I'm saying? Okay,
doing. Yeah, I know.
okay. Are there any other questions, discussion, or debate regarding any of the consent agenda items? Hearing none, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move it at this time.
Hold on. So right now, we're gonna vote on all of them?
But you can indicate on an individual item if
Okay,
you're
well,
voting
I wanna-
differently on the rest of it.
I want us to talk about number 8.
You want, I'm
Number
sorry.
8.
Okay. You can make your comments on number 8.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Oh, I have no problem with the hire, I have a problem with the salary.
Problem with the salary?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I think the salary is a little high.
Okay.
No problem with the person, it's just the salary is a little too high, considering our financial problems we have right now.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else have any individual comments?
I do.
Okay. Ms. Barrett, speak into the microphone. It's really hard to hear for
Sorry.
an old man like me.
Just in light of your rant, as you called it, I truly believe that we need to make an assessment about who we're hiring from the top on down. I think we'll be doing our district a disservice, students, the family, the faculty, if we don't do that. If we're talking about making cuts, we got to talk about making cuts everywhere. So I can't, in good faith, agree to continue to hire and have us top heavy and not think about the rest of the district. So that's my comment.
Okay, thank you. We did have a motion. Did we have a second?
There's a motion on the floor.
Motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Right, okay, again, what are we gonna do about number 8?
My suggestion is when you vote, whether you vote aye or nay on any of them,
Is there some
you
way-
can individually say
can we
on number 8.
postpone it and then talk about it as a board?
Well, but you could make a motion to table, but I'm also suggesting that if it's simply that you are in disagreement with an individual item on the consent agenda, you can vote aye on everything but that issue and vote no on that issue.
I don't, because I'd rather make a motion, I'm making a motion to table number 8.
Okay, there's a
Because
motion.
There needs to be further discussion about that.
There's a motion to table number 8. Is that what you're making the motion
Yes.
to table? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Williams, seconded by Ms. Verrett to table item number 8. Please call the roll.
Gathing,
No.
Lopez,
No.
Barrett,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes,
Yancey Smith,
Yes.
Bronis,
No.
Boland,
No. 3 ayes, 4 noes. The motion to table fails. We're back to the consent agenda as established. Is there a motion? We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Baronis. There's no other discussion. Please call the roll.
Lopez,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes, I would say no to number 8, and I would like to abstain number 7.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what your last statement was.
Abstain for number 7?
Abstain for number 7? Okay.
and then no to 8.
No to 8.
Williams,
Yes, but no to number 8.
Nancy Smith,
Yes.
Baronis,
Yes.
Gathing,
Yes.
Bolin,
Yes. We have 6 ayes for everything except 7 and 8. Number 7, we have 5 ayes and 1 no and 1 abstention. And number 8, we have 5 ayes and 2 noes. The motion carries. The consent agenda is approved. Having said that, we have just employed in that consent agenda, and congratulations to those who have been employed, Dr. Henderson as the head of People Services, Cynthia Alvarez as a bus driver, Bernice Bradley as a paraprofessional, Sylvia Carmona as a full-time professional, Nuvimi Concha as a parent educator, Terrence Love as a groundsman, Jason Taylor as a bus driver, Lorenzo York as a paraprofessional, and Mark Bynum as a bus driver. So congratulations to all those whose employment was just approved. Moving on, we have no action items. You see the information and proposals. I do wish to announce that the Finance Committee meeting, which is supposed to have been held on Thursday of this week, has been canceled and will be held in October instead. Any other comments for the good of the order? Oh, I'm sorry. We have a new item, and I ran right past it. Committee reports. We need... Yeah. Committee reports. Mr. Williams, you're the chairman of the policy committee. We met a couple days ago, it seems like.
Yeah, Tuesday. Well, at the policy meeting, I got there a little late. We had a presentation, and then we went over policies, and most of the policies just needed a signature. So there was nothing new. It was the same policies that we basically know about it. They were just coming up for reevaluation and a signature on them. So it went smoothly, it went quick, and we're very appreciative of that. An hour instead of 4. So I'm happy.
Very good.
Did you want to speak to the student board member? Student board member.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. And we also agreed that we're going to have a student board member join us next year. We're talking about the preparations of narrowing down students and which one we're going to vote on or pick or however we're going to do it. So that's exciting to me to have a student sitting up here with us and going over all the policies with us, a bit of better understanding of how the district works.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Ms. Baronis, do you want to talk about curriculum committee?
Sure. We met last week, and we had a very enlightening presentation from the Kankakee Health Department regarding a new curriculum with the teen pregnancy prevention program. It was very, very informative. Learned a lot of new information regarding teens. We're hoping to start in the 6th grade, I believe, 6th grade level through high school. They're in the works with the health department to kind of work out the logistics. So I'm very excited to start this program with our students. I think it's very, very important. And we also got an update regarding the curriculum audit, and we are currently in phase 2 which will include surveys of administration to families and staff. There will also be focus groups with parents, guardians, staff, students, and board members, classroom visits, and then we are expected to have a final report by December. So exciting things in the curriculum world.
Thank you, Ms. Baronis. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Oh, our next board meeting is October 14th, right?
Yes.
Okay, and that will be at Avis Huff. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gathing, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Williams. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much for being here, and it's a little